I'm back. Welcome to week 3. And in this week, in the material, even though there's a lot of it, I hope you're going to spend a fair amount of time looking over what is considered by many in ICT to be a foundational document. Came out about 3 or 4 years ago, the National Broadband Plan. And I'm going to be spending 2 or 3 minutes on that, especially because I hope you'll get a sense of how in this sort of geek world, it's very important to have really good strategic planning. Whether this has been successful or not has to be judged by time and also by the various issues that come up, like network neutrality, which we also look at this week. But anyway, take a good look at that subject because I think you're going to find that National Broadband Plan very, very interesting. Okay, these are the assigned readings and watchings for this week. And the top one, the main one, is the National Broadband Plan. I'm asking you to look it over in terms of just getting a feel for its depth and its scope, the kinds of things it's dealing with. And I will say a few more things about it later. The Flat World Perspective. About 6-7 years ago, Thomas Friedman wrote a book called The World is Flat, and incidentally he has since disavowed that view. And I've got a video where he goes into that in more detail. But anyway, it set off a very interesting and I think productive debate, mostly between Friedman and a very, very capable professor. Used to be at Harvard Business School, now he's over at a major business school in Spain, and Pankib Gamawat. And essentially, the Gamawat says, wait a minute, look at the numbers and you'll see that the world isn't flat, that almost everything takes place within the same country. Well, of course, as in everything in this course, you're going to have to judge that. But there's a very good short presentation by Gamawat, which gives you the idea that he's trying to present. Also, you're going to encounter again and again, some information that says the United States is not nearly as high on the speed and technology diffusion list as some other countries. About a dozen or more countries have faster internet, considerably faster in the case of South Korea, and have other statistics. Now, that doesn't mean the United States is a laggard. Remember, we're the 3rd largest population country in the world, and also that the United States is much wider in scope and in its size than a lot of the countries that are doing particularly well. So this is just to give you the first sort of shot across the bow on that interesting subject. Network neutrality, that is right in the middle of the congressional debates right now. The president has weighed in on it just in the last week or two, so it's a big deal. And I hope you'll find it interesting. So you're starting to get used to what that subject is about. I've got a couple of readings and also a video on that subject that I think you'll find useful. So that's it for the week. Incidentally, don't forget on those posts, 4 posts is the minimum. So if you want to get a just barely passing grade on the posts, 4. But I'm hoping that there'll be more than 4 spread nicely across the week. Hope you can do that. Okay, just as a reminder, I told you about the the lesson 2 had to do with those 2 paradigms I thought might be good for looking at things in the entire course. I just wanted to finish off the technology and education one with some quick reminders. There are some summary data, some summary zingers that you certainly have probably found. The Babson study clearly says professors don't like distance learning, administrators do, and for obvious reasons, cost issues, and that the government, about 1/3 of all the money that's paid in post-secondary education, that's in college, comes from government support, state and federal. A lot of people say it isn't enough, but 1/3 of $500 billion a year is quite a lot of money coming in to help universities. So what are some of the answers to might solve this cost problem? Competency-based courses, that's what Bill Gates prefers. His idea is that if you can demonstrate competency, then however you gain that competency, of course that can be done very low cost. The $10,000 degree, they get an entire college degree for $10,000. University of Texas has pioneered that. MOOCs, we've talked about that considerably. National Center, NCAT is actually a very, very significant organization, National Center for Automation Technology, and I'm not going to say anything about that today, but I will in another time because I think it may be the answer to everything. A radical, unpopular answer. I've proposed some of these ideas. I've gotten a lot of trouble for them, a lot of bad responses on email. But regionalization of faculties. One of the ways to solve this huge problem would be to have a single geography faculty for a region, for example, or a single public policy faculty. It's terrible in terms of its implications. A lot of people are very concerned about it, but anyway, that's a possibility. You can also regionalize schools themselves, registrars, registrar for a large region. You can certainly regionalize libraries. Everybody seems to be doing that now because you don't need to go into libraries as much, and also data services. And the offset, the reason this is unpopular is because the offset is always personnel. You can save a lot of people doing this. I'm not saying it should be done. I'm saying that one of the big offsets in terms of savings is personnel. Okay, to finish up, the national broadband plan. I'm just going to read this kind of slowly just to be sure that we see the idea behind it. Broadband is the great infrastructure challenge of the early 21st century. Like electricity a century ago, broadband is a foundation for economic growth, job creation, global competitiveness, and a better way of life. And so you can see that this is considered to be a sort of constitutional formulative document. And then to fill Congress's mandate, the plan seeks to ensure that the entire broadband ecosystem, you'll find that term used a lot in ICT literature, networks, devices, content, and applications, is healthy. And then it reminds the reader that it makes recommendations to the FCC. This was produced at the FCC, the executive branch in Congress, etc. Just two more slides to go here. The strategic goals, you'll find this on the document in the very beginning, the part that I asked you to read this time. The first goal, at least 100 million homes should have affordable access to 100 megabits per second, upload speeds of 50 megabits per second. So that's an attainable goal. A lot of people have it already. But as you'll notice, some of the documents indicate that there's a large hunk of America that is a geographically large hunk where there's very difficult to get internet service even now. Goal 2, the United States should lead the world in mobile innovation. And goal 3, every American should have affordable access to robust broadband service. Well, you can say that's a right everybody has, a right to. The United Nations once tried to declare that that was a right, just like water, health, freedom, things like that. So it's definitely in the political and policy realm. Here are the last 3. Every American community should have affordable access to at least 1 gigabit per second broadband service to anchor institutions. That would be like maybe a university or schools, hospitals, and government buildings. So that's and there's some countries where they have that to homes, $1 billion to homes. Goal 5, to ensure the safety of the American people, every first responder should have access to a nationwide system. So you can see this covers the entire spectrum of life in America. To ensure that America leads, this is goal 6. In clean energy economy, every American should be able to use broadband to track and manage energy consumption. So that's the grid, and it's also energy in the home. So this is a really widely ranging, widely diverse document, and I hope you'll find it interesting. This is our first look at it. We'll look at it again several more times. Thanks again. Hope everything's going well. Don't forget about those posts. 4 is the minimum. Thanks a lot. Bye.